Hey, it's me, Rice Combo, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a Natasha build guide video for Honkai Star Rail. As one of the free-to-play units you get leveling through the game, Natasha is an amazing healing support that becomes near essential in a lot of the content that's currently out. So today, we're just going to take a look at her kit, how to build her, and what teams she can be put on. Let's get started. Natasha is one of the heroes you get for free in the game as you're leveling up. Being from the Abundance line, her supportive capabilities come in the form of healing. As it stands right now, there are only two heroes in the game that heal. That's going to be Bailu and Natasha. Bailu being a 5-star and really only attainable with luck through the gacha mechanics. Natasha is going to be the one that most people are going to be using, and you're going to see a lot more builds of. Especially with the fact that her kit, as a healer, does that one job exceptionally well. So in the current content that we have, Natasha ends up almost being needed in things like Simulated Universe and Forgotten Hall, because unlike shielding, which is able to help mitigate damage nukes from bosses or AoE nukes from bosses, Natasha works really well to being the emergency reactive heals, bringing your team and sustaining them throughout the fight. And she does this in two main ways. Her skill, which targets a single ally, and after they heal, they continue to get healed for the next 2 turns, or for her instant cast ultimate as long as she has the energy for it, which heals all allies on the field. On top of that, her talent, when allies are lower than 30%, Natasha's healing ends up getting higher. This ends up making Natasha one of the reasons that your team is able to stay in a fight longer and longer. And so as we take a look into her Eidolons, there's 2 things that we want to note. The first of which is her Eidolon 1, which basically gives you an insurance. If Natasha is brought down lower than 30%, she will immediately heal herself back up by 15% plus an extra 400 health. And especially because you get her for free, getting this Eidolon is pretty easy to get as long as you have a little bit of luck on your side. Her second one that we want to make note of is her Eidolon 4, which basically allows her to regenerate more energy the more damage she takes, which, as she takes damage, allows her to stay in the fight by being able to cast her ult more frequently. So now, taking a look at her traces, what is the skill priority that you want to make sure you're getting on Natasha as you level her up? The first of which is going to make sure that you level up her ult and her skill. These are going to be the 2 most important ones, as they're going to be the reasons that she's going to be sustaining the most. On top of that, you do want to get the bonus ability, where when she uses her skill on an ally, it also removes a debuff, as well as her talent, which just increases the urgency of heals when allies are low on HP. Her basic attack isn't something that you necessarily need, because Natasha's purpose is not to be putting out damage anyway. It is nice if you do have the spare resources for it, but don't go heavily investing into it, especially with how scarce resources are. So if we're going to take a look at her light cones here, Natasha actually has some pretty easy to access light cones, with light cones really just being better and better the higher star level they are. For the free-to-play option and the 3-star option, Cornucopia is probably going to be her best, just because at base, it's just going to be increasing her skill and ultimate healing, which her skill and ultimate, all they do is heal. The next one that you'd probably look at, and the most recommended in terms of a 4-star option, is going to be the one that's recommended for her based off of the portrait. It's going to be post-op conversation. What this does, it allows the wearer to get increased energy regen. So this is going to make her ult come up faster. And then when she does use her ult, which should be pretty frequently, she gets increased healing on that ult. Another one that you could also use is Shared Feeling as well, because what it is doing is it increases the healing output flat, so this would affect both skills and the ultimate, as well as when she does use her skills, it regenerates energy for her allies. So it ends up being something that is notable, but you don't always want to be relying on skills to consume energy, especially since your DPSs are going to be the ones that are going to use most of that energy or most of those skill points. And then the last one here is Quid Pro Quo. This is going to be your energy efficient or your energy generating light cone. I wouldn't highly recommend this, but if this is the best one for you, if you're noticing that your healing is pretty adequate and you're just kind of want to add extra energy to your team, Quid Pro Quo is going to be a great option for you. And obviously, the best in slot for both healers, both Bailu and Natasha, is going to be Bailu's signature light cone, which is just going to be time waits for no one, which essentially increases flat HP and outgoing healing. That's just at base. So her, as we know, Natasha gets extra healing based off of her HP, and now the outgoing healing is also increased by another 12. The additional thing that's on this, it also makes it so that she also buffs her allies a little bit by allowing her allies to deal an extra amount of damage of the recorded outgoing healing value. This extra damage isn't going to be life-changing in terms of the course of a battle, but it is going to be able to dish out a little bit of extra DPS that you otherwise wouldn't have if you weren't using time waits for no one. So that being said, Natasha is pretty flexible when it comes to all of her light cones, having options both at 3-star, 4-star, and then at 5-star for her to be able to use. And then as we go into Relics, it's pretty straightforward in terms of what Natasha's going to want. For her Relics, she's going to want Passerby of Wandering Cloud. This, with the 2-piece and 4-piece together, allows her to be a lot more supportive, increasing her outgoing healing, and giving an additional skill point at the start of the battle. In terms of the second 2-piece set, you're going to want the Fleet of the Aegis, just because it increases her max HP. And then if she has a higher speed of 21, she does increase the attack of all allies by 8%, which isn't what you're primarily going to want her for. It's really for the extra max HP, so that way her healing is also increased. In terms of subsets that you're going to be wanting to look for in the boots, you're either going to want HP or speed. I prefer HP just because you're going to be reacting to a lot of the damage. So she doesn't necessarily want to start the fight with a heal. She's going to want to react to the damage her allies are taking. And then in terms of the chest piece, outgoing healing boost or flat HP is fine. Outgoing healing boost is the preference, just because it's going to increase her healing more and more. And in terms of substats, you are just going to want to look for HP percent. You're going to want to look for a little bit of speed. And then as a kind of cherry on top, effect res and then flat HP are going to be the other stats. She doesn't need any damaging stats or any effect hit because her main focus is going to be primarily healing. So when it comes to the teams that Natasha is going to want to be on, she really can slot in anywhere. As long as you have a DPS core, Natasha will make sure that that core stays alive through the fight. Whether you use a hyper carry like Seal or you use things like Asta and Serval, Natasha's job is to make sure that the team doesn't die. She is probably one of the most flexible units in the game. Really, most supports, whether they're shielders or healers, are going to be able to be flexed into any team slot. So the benefit of Natasha and why she's going to be utilized in most teams is due to that flexibility. So with that being said, that's Natasha. She is an excellent support hero that's very easy to build, very beginner friendly, especially since we get her for free. So that being said, that's the end of this Natasha build guide video. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section down below. And if you want more content like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.